these great minds that you've been surrounded by?
I mean, that primarily from Denny was the one thing.
Yeah.
Just, never judge and always respect the music. And also just always be deeply respectful of your fellow musicians, and we are there to help one another. We are not there to compete with one another.
Yeah.
Because we are all completely unique in what we bring to the equation. No one can do what I do, and I can't do what you do.
Yes.
And when you put that chemistry together in a big melting pot, the resultant outcome is phenomenal and unique. So that's the thing. Don't feel insecure. Don't feel, oh my Lord, I'm missing out because she's doing that and I haven't done that. You do what you do to the best of your abilities. Just be true to your essence, and that translates into something that attracts people, brings people in, because they're going, wow, there's such sincerity in that. Why? And they lean in and they listen, as opposed to trying to outdo or be somebody else.
Yes.
So that's very much what I've learned from them. It's supreme professionalism. And again, being a great musician is not just about how brilliant you are and your particular instrument or voice.
Yeah.
It's a package of spending time, doing your homework, looking the part, behaving appropriately, and it's something that translates into so many different facets of being a musician.
Yeah.
Not just being amazing, check this out,
So you're the lead singer for Atmosferic, which is a crossover jazz band. How do you keep it fresh and exciting for yourself and for the audience?
I rely quite heavily on the creative improvisational process that happens on stage.
Yes.
Where we'll never ever play one song exactly the same way. That's what we really love about getting on stage, and Graeme is phenomenal in keeping things fresh and setting up a template, and then everybody explores within that template. I don't like things to always be the same. Some folk that's necessary. Other folk enjoy the structure and that makes them good at what they do. For me, too much structure I find very stifling creatively.
Yeah.
So that I think helps us to keep things fresh. When we get on stage, yes, we do work to a basic template, but within that space there's complete and free expression and translation of what we're doing. And that's, I think, how it stays fresh.
Yeah.
Also, just listening to other people and what they're doing, because even though you don't want to necessarily copy or emulate, it's like a melting pot of influences that sort of sinks into your musical subconscious, and those things influence the way you would translate or sing things or interpret things on stage. So it's important not to just live in a cocoon of, I'm just going to do my thing. And this is the only way to do it.
Be a little experimental,
Experimental, and there's so many different genres that can translate and influence. So keep your ears and eyes open, and also going to see other musicians and seeing what's going on, what's the buzz, what's happening.
Get inspired.
That's it. That's it.
And then you're also a lead singer, one of the lead singers in Jazzing You Over, which is a jazz showcase. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
That, unfortunately, is a project that kind of come to naught, in that what we found with Atmosferic was that we started off as a corporate jazz band, and then you get kind of boxed and labelled to be a background, dinner, ambient band.
Yeah.
And we wanted to explore some of our more vibrant arrangements, and so we showcased that in the Jazzing You Over format, where we got R.J. Benjamin to partner with me as a frontline vocalist, and we did some really cool arrangements and brought dancers in and put that into the database of the agencies as a show option.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of let it fizzle out, more so because I realized in doing that that I'm not a show type.
Oh, really?
I just don't enjoy being up front and there's a band somewhere way back in the background supporting that sort of dynamic on stage. I love being in the middle of the musicality and flow of energy of the band. And that was a big realization for me
Yeah.
because as a child I always loved cabaret and theatre, and
Yes.
I even saw myself doing that. But when I actually put myself in that position, it didn't feel comfortable. It just didn't sit well with me.
You had to go there to know.
I had to know what I was not to know what I am. And so I've now acknowledged, and I'm very comfortable saying, no, I'm not a soloist in that book me to sing New York, New York with a big orchestra backing me. No. For me, I need that collective flow of energy. I want to be with my people on the stage and just working,
feeling,
making music. I love that dynamic, and that's what I'm going to focus on. So that's kind of really fizzled out.
It's had its time, yeah. It's taught you what it needed to,
and served its purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. How much preparation goes into creating all of these different kinds of shows or bands or experiences? Because you make it look so easy, but I know it takes a lot of effort to get to where you are.
Look, it has, in the formative stages, been a hell of a lot of work in terms of getting repertoire together, learning songs, creating charts, rehearsing, especially when it's a show. It's endless work and endless admin and endless paperwork, client liaison, trying to get everybody to do what they need to do, rehearsal times. So yes, I think when you're doing a production, it's a lot more work for a specific event. But with a band, initially, yes, the input is large, but then you get to a critical mass of repertoire and also a dynamic between the musicians where people are starting to sit more comfortably in their roles and getting more familiar with each other's styles and interpretation of the music. And then things almost gel and it becomes so much easier. But it's getting through those initial gigs of, this arrangement's going so badly, and that doesn't work, this works.
Yeah.
So it's just riding through those bumpy initial times. And then we've fallen into the trap where you kind of get a bit comfortable and you stop rehearsing, and there's enough musicality there and creativity to carry you, where you can get up on stage and people are still wowed by what they hear and see, but you are feeling stale inside.
Yeah.
You need to extend and you need to push and you need to explore, and then it means that more work needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it
Which is exciting.
It doesn't have to be work. It just there needs to be more progress.
Yeah.
Engage with new material. Try new things.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just turn off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing thing. But that initial stage, of course, it's like anything, like setting up a business. You've got to get all the essential building blocks in place so that you can make it a successful working formula.
Yeah. What, in your opinion, is special about the South African jazz and blues scene?
I've been told by some of our colleagues that have travelled extensively abroad that it is very unique, that the jazz and even the blues, you'd think blues is pretty generic worldwide, it's so not. South Africans have got such a specific style and essence that translates very differently to what's happening in the States and in Europe, etc.
Wow, that's great.
But I must say, because I haven't travelled and I haven't experienced that firsthand, I don't actually...
You don't have a reference.
I don't have a reference.
Yeah.
For me, my extent of references is just here.
Yeah.
And other than some of the international bands that I would, access, by listening to CDs, etc.
Yeah.
But I do think that we're a very charismatic bunch of people.
Yes, yeah.
And that there's a lot of fun stuff that happens on stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the more
got to translate.
out there. Yeah.
So and I think South Africans can also be very down to earth. So often when you go and see bands performing, I'm always so moved by the sincerity of the performances and the way when folks sort of chat and share their stories and their comments in between. It's just so engaging.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them have got some amazing stories to tell of coming from very, very difficult places and times or from difficult circumstances. So I think that really makes for great storytelling.
Well, that's part of blues. It's meant to be real, you know?
That's it.
Which of your performances have you enjoyed the most?
Of course, there are key elements to a number of performances that I felt were amazing. And number one, of course, is when you're in a good space. You know, I'm sure every performer will tell you about the little voice on your shoulder that tells you all sorts of stupid things while you're performing, and you're second guessing yourself, and you, are you good enough to be on the stage? So you're fighting that fight often mentally before you even get up on that stage to perform.
Yeah.
So when you're in a very good centered space and you are very comfortable in your skin and you know that you are doing what you do to the best of your ability, that's a great starting point. And then of course when there's a wonderful flow between the band, that then translates to a wonderful exchange of energy between the audience. And when the audience and the band are all feeling it and there's just this flow, that's for me where it's almost like you actually feel elated. You feel high on the incredible creative process. It's the most extraordinary feeling. The joy that you feel is just astounding, and that kind of summates when things really go well.
And then could you tell us about when you performed for the Prince of Jeddah in the Seychelles?
It was bizarre. He is a very wealthy Arab sheikh that has parties in the Seychelles a couple of times a year, and he loves South African performers, so he often takes a whole bunch of us across there to create an entertainment program for his guests. So I got to perform for him. I didn't have my band with me. I had to perform with backing tracks due to the nature of budgets and the logistics constraints. But I must say, and I missed that. For me, like performing with tracks, oh man, I can't. It's just for me. I mean, I have to have the human beings on stage with me.
Yes, it was very awkward.
So that is. For me, it's all about flow, it's all about energy, chemistry. So I missed that immensely, but it was quite a remarkable experience. And we weren't allowed to make eye contact with him. We weren't allowed to know where he was in the room. You had to divert your eyes all the time. It was bizarre because here you were engaging with a very Western production type scenario, and yet you had to subscribe to these very strict Eastern, Middle East, rules. But for me, to have to be very honest, the thrill was getting to the Seychelles.
That
was the venue. That was just a ticket to having a free holiday and hanging out with fellow musicians and having a wonderful time. So we do what we have to do sometimes.
Oh man, it's cool, man. No, I totally get that. What do you feel is needed to have a full and rich musical career?
You've got to immerse yourself in the kind of material that just sends you when it comes to performing, because that's just going to inspire you to want to take it to the next level, to be better, to give more, feel free in that space, because you are really just extending the essence of yourself when you perform material. Also, keeping relationships good with your fellow musicians, being respectful, you can't do it on your own. It's not an island, especially in the music industry. And take care of your people and look after the relationships that you have. Don't be a prima donna and don't let the ego get in the way, because the ego can totally annihilate a music career. I
think that's one of the biggest things that all musicians or singers or whatever have to learn, is to how you kick that back.
Big time. Big time. And also be prepared to learn from other folk,
well, if you're full of ego, you don't learn.
You can't.
You
can't move forward. So you might have these very, very fixed ideas about how you want this thing to translate. And then somebody just,
open to that.
Sometimes it'll take you on a wonderful journey down a road that you never even considered.
And what advice would you give to jazz and blues singers
starting out?
Yeah.
You've got to practice, yes, but you've also got to get out there and get your feet wet. So don't be too scared to take on something because you think perhaps you're not good enough, you're not rehearsed enough. yes, you must always be well rehearsed and well prepared. The only way you're going to get to grow is performing and putting yourself right out there in front of the audience. That's where you do all the learning, not in the rehearsing room.
Yeah.
Not learning your chords and your chops. It's when you're actually standing in front of them, that's where the learning really, really happens. So don't hide your light under a bushel. Get out there. If you screw it up a few times, that's fine. That's actually part of the learning curve.
Yeah.
Because you're facing the demons, you're learning how to deal with those kind of situations. And again, they do the material that inspires you.
Yes.
Because that engages people and then as opposed to, that was a very nicely executed number.
Yes.
But they don't feel it.
Yeah.
And they won't notice. So engage with stuff that feeds your creative soul.
I'd like to ask everybody to end off the interview with a message to people that are watching. So you can say anything that comes from your heart. It's just from you to the world.
To them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you want to take some time?
Yeah. I actually do.
Yeah.
Like all the amazing people that have been a part of my journey and have believed in me and given me their support and their inspiration and encouragement. Yeah, for those that are starting out, just again, you're being put on this planet to do that very unique thing that only you can do. Do that thing. Don't try and be somebody else. Do that very, very thing and believe that you have something of significance to offer. I actually forgot to tell you, my grandmother was one of 4 sisters called the Andrew sisters.
Really?
And they used to gather around at the piano and sing all the Andrew sisters songs. That's where my thing came from, in terms of the inspiration for Sentimental. And so I grew up with it. And so when I got asked to do this little show, that was the root of it all.
Oh wow, that is so
very
cool.
Special. Yeah, very, very special. Can you believe it? Beryl Andrews, the Andrew sisters. They called themselves the Andrew Sisters of South Africa. But not that they ever performed, but they just it's just like for families and friends.
Oh wow, it's amazing how those little synchronistic things pop up, hey? And you have like no idea.
Exactly.
Wow, that is awesome.
Floating just the 2 of us, love legend so glorious, suspended in this paradise where we're here, let's play, spinning through the universe. Life is but a blur to us, lovers till the end of earth. We're on